Roll call. Councilor Manzer.
Here.
Councilor Tudor. Deputy Warden Ross.
Here.
Councilor Thurber. CAO Jeff Sunderland. Our Manager of Municipal Services, Tyler. Our Manager of Corporate Services, Cora Lee. Our Executive Assistant, Taylor Robinson. And myself. So we are all here. I would like us now all to pause to seek guidance. Okay, and now I will read the mission statement. To provide, promote, or facilitate municipal services that meet the community needs by preserving, supporting, and enhancing quality of life for all. The first thing is the approval of the agenda, and there is 3 additions. Under 3 would be 3.3, solid waste bylaw. Under 4.6, marketing levy committee, motion for Angela to be the official member and Linda to be the alternate. And for the delegations and presentations, the AIM asset management on Zoom will go first, followed by the Wharf Rally second. Could I have a motion on the amended agenda?
Motion to approve the amended agenda.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. So first we will get Ian. Hello, Ian.
Hello.
So you're going to do a presentation, so we've got to do it formally. So can I have a motion for the AIM asset management presentation?
A motion to approve the AIM asset management presentation.
Is there a second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. So go ahead, sir.
Wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for having me. I'm calling in from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia here, and Ian Tenoff, civil engineer. I represent AIM Network on this project. I'm just going to get my screen share going here, and we can hop right in. So. Here we go. Okay, so wonderful. As was already introduced, this is our asset management program we've been working with you on. So this is delivered through the Municipal Asset Management Program, which is funded by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities and FCM. This is our attribution that we provide at the start of all these presentations. This program couldn't have gone ahead without the funding from this great partner, and we're seeing the end of this program in the next couple of days here. So awesome getting this one right in the wire. So a quick introduction to what asset management is. It can be a bit of a confusing term, and we often don't think of things that we're managing at a municipality as an asset. They can often be liabilities. They can be all sorts of things. But at the end of the day, it's providing a service to residents. And our goal is to be able to sustain that service delivery into the future. So we're trying to practice good management of our infrastructure for informed decision making so that it stays around for the long term for generations to come. So just a little primer as to why this is important to be doing. A study performed back in 2019, so this is quite out of date now with the recent inflation, which we'll be talking about later, but 50% of Canada's infrastructure is coming to its end of life in 2027. And that represents a $50 billion deficit in the near term and a $121 billion deficit needed into long term. So nationally, this is an issue that needs to be tackled, and a lot of the burden falls on municipalities. So we'll have good news from the burden that you guys face moving forward. It's pretty good news coming out of this, all in all. So nothing too much to be scared about, but from a holistic national view, this is very hot on the agenda, infrastructure crisis kind of lingo. So asset management, I said, we're mainly focusing on informed, clear decision making. And the decision is when we're going to spend taxpayer dollars to fund, replace, renew infrastructure. And when we're making those decisions, we want to make sure we're coming in from two lenses to justify that kind of spending. Either it's risk-based, so something we already own and maintain has a risk to failing, and we want to make sure remedy that, so we have ways of tracking that risk, and we'll be looking at that further in. Then the level of service is another thing. So we're providing many services. We want to provide potentially new and improved services, and it should align with what residents want to see. So these are the two big lenses that we approach decision making through, and of course, cost determines everything at the end of the day. So these are our kind of three pillars that we look at this lens through. Level of service for this project wasn't included within the scope because you guys have already gone through this exercise in prior projects through workshops with us, so we won't be discussing that too much, but that's kind of the asset management program moving forward in the future. That's kind of the two pillars that we're looking at. So it all stems from your policy at the end of the day and the start of the day. We want to make sure everything's guided through that asset management policy. I'm not sure if you guys have that fully ratified into council yet. I know Tyler has worked on it and developed one. I'm not too clear if it was presented in front of you, but if it hasn't yet or if it will be in the future, it's very good to have a solid understanding of the pillars that I shouldn't use that word all the time, but a lot of the why we would be making decisions. So as I said, we want to make sure that things are evidence-based and transparent, so we have data to back it up and we know what's going on. And this can all lead into improving trust with the community, that we know that we're making the right decisions with their tax dollars. It can hold both staff and council a bit more accountable as we see council turnover and things like that, just to make a much more stable, long-term approach to these decisions that are guided by these principles and don't see huge swings back and forth between any kind of staff or council turnover and things like that. So the key points that we hit with your asset management policy is that we're focusing on service delivery to customers. We have a holistic approach, so we don't look at things with blinders and just looking at one problem. We need to understand that spending money here means money won't get spent somewhere else. So what are those impacts? And we look at everything as one big budget rather than separate departments. Looking at long-term sustainability and resilience. So sustainability gets hijacked a bit by climate change lingo. When I say sustainability, I mean it will just sustain no matter what is thrown at it into the future, and that ties into resiliency quite a bit as well. Next point here, fiscal responsibility and asset management decision making. So making sure that we are very conscious of that cost pillar on the wheel, and then everything else that goes around that. We're using these principles as we make decisions, and as always, we're always trying to do better the next day. Continuous improvement. This is in our way of going about things. So that's our kind of intro to asset management stuff. Now let's talk about what you guys own and what that means for revenues and capital expenses. So just in terms of what the municipality of Digby owns and manages, I'll talk about inflation and costing a bit later, but keep in mind these are a bit crazy right now with just how the pandemic's been driving costing. So transportation assets, this is a few sidewalks and some J-class roads that are cost shared with the province and residents. There's about $4 million worth that you guys would be responsible for of that cost share. The big chunk, as we can see, is your wastewater services. So that's about $82 million worth of total assets. If it were all to break today and had to go fix it right now, that's kind of the ballpark that we'd be expecting. We also have facilities, represents about $6.2 million, and then we have fleet assets coming in just under $1 million. That number is quite a bit inflated with the transit bus systems that you guys are managing. Beyond those take up about 2/3 of that value, and the rest is with food trucks and general equipment. So along the bottom, kind of hidden there, if we were to take all of those assets and divide it by how long we expect it to stay good for. So a water main, which you guys are managing, but they would last around 75 years or so. So let's divide all that. So it works out to about $1.5 million a year totally. And if we look at that again, just at the resident with the number of population you guys have, that's about $211 per person in the municipality per year, investing in their own infrastructure if they want it to be continually renewed. So that's kind of like a ballpark, where do my taxes go kind of number. There are some levers that get moved around. We're not fixing everything right when we expect it to break. Sometimes we fix it earlier because of risk. If it's higher risk, we don't want a sewer main to a key location failing unexpectedly. We want to get in there beforehand. So that number can move around a bit as we actually start getting into real world decision making. Just with the level of service, I wanted to touch on this a little bit just to explain it a bit more because it is quite important and it's a bit outside of our scope here. So we would break things down by like the services you guys are delivering. So there would be sewage treatment, for example. And the big thing that you need to comply with is legislative requirements, so that can trigger some projects for us. We're not having anything come up here. Provide capacity, quality, reliability. So if there was a new residential needed or wanted to be hooked up to the sewage treatment system, that would be something that would be a level of service upgrade. We're also looking at things like life safety and services with the infrastructure. And then it's not just, is the service being provided today satisfactory? 20 years from now, is there anything outside of our control that might impact that? So maybe population shifting, growing and declining, climate change, things of that nature. And I don't want to spend too much time on level of service in this presentation since it's not a takeaway from the project, but I'm just going to keep throwing the word out here because as the asset management program progresses within the municipality, people become more familiar. This is a very key pillar. I just want to give a little bit more background on what it means. But now let's talk the next 20 years forecast our results from this project. So this graph's a bit complicated. I sent over some print-offs. I'm not sure if they were able to get printed off and sent over to you guys or if we had time to digest them, but if they are there at the back end of that, this charts would open up into 3 different pieces to make it a bit more digestible for you instead of this kind of cluttered area here. But the big thing to notice is that how there's a lot more money that needs to be spent in years 15 through 20 than needs to be spent in years 1 through 15. And that puts you in a really great position, especially when we're talking about the inflation that I've been alluding to at the start of this. So from AIM's perspective right now, a lot of the costs that's being driven up, we're seeing sewer main replacements being triple the cost of what they used to be in the past 3 years. And this is a big concern moving forward. But our recommendation to most clients at the moment is to defer work into the future as, from our interpretation, there's not enough downward pressure on the market to bring costs down. And what I mean by that is if another municipality had a road they want to get done, they're just going to get it done no matter what the cost is. So the contractors will keep bidding on jobs at that price. And I mean, it makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't you? So you're in a position where you will be quite resilient to that initial hit of high cost to replace things. In that first 1 to 5 years, we'll be looking at a full detailed budget in a couple slides here, but that big spike in year 4 is largely related to kind of level of service improvements that were identified and already planned, and you might already have some knowledge of. There's new information in the short term coming out of this project, because everything is it's in a good shape. You're not managing a whole lot of infrastructure, so in great shape. And you also are already maintaining reserves. Once we are processing our full capital plan document, we want to take a look at your reserves in more fine detail than we normally do with most folks, because you have quite a bit more of a robust approach than many municipalities we've encountered, so we want to make sure we bring that into consideration here. So yeah, it's mostly good news, and let's take a look at some of the lines as well. So I discussed the bars a bit with how there's not too much in the first 16 years really on the outlook, except for that year 4 spike, which is mainly things that we'll see in that 5-year plan. Is that a question? Happy to be interrupted. And then as we get out into those years 17 and 20, those are largely the J-class roads coming up because they have quite a bit of a shorter life than a sewer infrastructure. So they're going to pop up in our 20-year forecast all the time, and you guys don't have quite as much control with when that work will get done since it is a share cost. So your reserves will help you be resilient to when those come up. You'll have the funds kind of put away, and you can handle that. And some other surprises that often don't get thought about, and we have some recommendations later on to consider within the reserves. Things like your sidewalks, which you guys have planned for as well. Street lights being incorporated as well into that, because you manage a shocking amount. I think, not shocking to me, but might be shocking to someone who doesn't live with this asset management stuff daily, but the street lights can be quite the capital burden yearly, and we'll see what that value is. But yeah, as I said, the takeaway with that green line going across, so if we just focus on the lines, the yearly demand over the next 20 years is around $575,000 annually when we kind of flatten that out. You're not going to be funding 100% of the project costs when they come up. We'll be getting grant funding, and we'll be getting revenue from other sources to fund a lot of these projects. And you guys do particularly great. Compliments to the staff. You have one of the best ratios we've come across when it comes to being able to secure grant funding to get projects off the ground. So that red line down there, that is more what is coming out of the tax base and from the town revenue. So 25% of that 575,000. So it's inflated as well to about 2.5% inflation, but if we average that out, we're sitting around 150K a year from town money, and municipality money, and that's in a very healthy position for your current spending and your current reserve contributions. So awesome, great news. We can feel very comfortable. Something to note. So when we're looking here, I mentioned a huge chunk of what you guys are managing is wastewater and sewer, and that wastewater grade bar doesn't come up too often in here. I'm going to just skip ahead here to our 50-year projection. And once we start getting into those years 36 through 50, that's when the sewers start coming to expected failure. And again, we have a lot of time to figure out that problem. We can either start reserve funding tomorrow, we can start reserve funding 10 years from now. We can do more intensive inspections to kind of push to get more life out of them, because we do see that contribution requirement pops up quite a bit when we start looking at this more 50-year plan. It starts to look a bit more unmanageable. But when we consider that we'll be looking at this program on a continuous basis, and these bars, we're not going to go 50 years before we look at these again. So always have this kind of idea and this understanding of when these are coming to a head. We can start to trigger inspection programs to kind of get a better understanding of the condition of the sewers underneath. We can be reserving. There might even be new technology out there by then for how we even approach these type of works. It's going to be a very different world 35 years from now with how we're approaching these jobs. So the best thing is to just make sure we're informed by looking at these bar charts and continuing to update them and monitor them as we move forward, and just have that understanding and start thinking about planning for reserves. And as I said, we'll take a very deep look at your kind of existing reserves and how that compares with this once we start packaging your final full capital report to send over the next month here. So that's kind of our long-term projection outlook. It's all really great news. In the next 1 to 5 years, there's not much coming up, and we'll be quite resilient to this inflation burden that's in a lot of municipalities and driving a lot of costs and deferring a lot of projects. So really great news. Current investment levels are sound. Awesome. Like, not much else to say there.
Does anyone have, oh, sorry. I was gonna ask if anyone had any questions for you.
No, it's good news. That's good to hear. We're in a good position.
Yeah, it's nice. With the bad news. I think a lot of people are getting bad news with these sorts of reports.
Yes, it's more good news than bad news, but there's a lot of those like year 35 to 50 where the bad news starts showing up. Most folks are year 15 or a bit earlier, and we do run into quite a few folks where it's bad news now, and we're pushing projects. Another thing, that $211 a head number on this slide here, that's very reasonable for a county to be managing. So you kind of have what we would expect amount of infrastructure per person for your population. So if we're getting into town, I think it's over $1,000 a person. So just because the population's going up a lot doesn't mean that it doesn't scale the same way, because not everyone here is on potable water. No one here is on potable water. So it helps you guys out quite a bit. And we do see this divide between towns and counties a lot. The counties tend to be in pretty comfy shape, relatively speaking. Just hop ahead here real quick. The 5-year projects, though, this should look very similar to the existing 5-year plan budget. I want to say when myself, an asset manager, says like a budget, it's not what the stat, like there's many steps between this kind of proposed project shortlist and the final, we're going to go do this budget, because sometimes projects get triggered by just, I'm just going to throw an if case, if we had a sewer on here, it wasn't inspected by an engineer necessarily, it might have just been, we know it's old, and that's all we have to go off of, so we're going to have someone go look at it in detail first. So I just want to kind of give a sense for the level of detail in this budget. It's a short list to go action and look into further there. And a lot of it will align quite closely with your current 5-year plan. So let's focus on some of the new stuff first. In the general government services, everything is staying as it was on the existing plan, along with protective services. So we have capital improvements to the administration building, as well as some accessibility implementation, expansion of rural broadband internet, and a new transit bus in the future. Our protective services, we need some new dispatch recorders, and that all makes sense. Once we get into transportation, we have some reserves set here. I'm sorry, Tyler, I didn't update this table when I sent it over to you.
Yeah,
so
I noticed on one of your prior slides, some people in the crowd may have noticed it as well. I don't think you updated the total of the infrastructure either. The amount was slightly off.
Oh yeah, the total there. I must have got missed there. So let me the actual one up here, I apologize. Because these numbers should be smaller. So let me just get my email to you, Tyler. That way I'm going to send over detailing it all out. Here we go. So for the sidewalks, you guys are managing sidewalks heading into up to the golf course and along Highway 303. So most of them are still in pretty fairly good shape. When we're looking at these long-term forecasts, we pulled an annual reserve required, and that number came in at around $16,000 a year So your current plan, I'm going to go off this slide just so we're not too confused on that point here. Your current plan had in year 2 investing $35,000 and then continuing on to $20,000. We're going to recommend you stick with that because with the way our reserve works, it's assuming from day 1 when the sidewalk goes in. So there's a slight deficit that currently exists because we haven't been investing for the whole life of the sidewalk. So that number you have planned there for $20,000 a year, that makes perfect sense to maintain and continue. Your streetlight reserve, we're recommending that you invest approximately $70,000 a year into either reserves for streetlights or replacing streetlights as they start to fail. You guys manage a lot of streetlights and they have a lot of value, and it's not something we typically think about. And we've seen some municipalities that took on a lot of streetlights a bit earlier than most folks. Most folks took them on around 2018 era, but there's a few municipalities that took them on a lot younger, and they weren't expecting them all to start breaking and costing around $2,000 a piece all at once. So it's good to have that plan in place for some of those lesser thought out assets. Okay, so that's the only kind of big ones that I missed in updating for you folks, and I apologize for that. We've got a public works vehicle coming up and saying paving at the Digby airport, which is just continually done to kind of maintain the runway there and the other infrastructure around it, as well as some accessibility improvements. And then when we get into wastewater, we have a series of pump replacements. A lot of these are just in case, so it kind of acts as a reserve. It's how you guys have been currently managing this type of work here, and we're not going to much so if it makes sense for the current operations to carry that as a just in case. We'll keep on with that, as well as with some electrical panel improvements, upgrading the blower roof to be a steel roof to match the surrounding infrastructure to better maintain and manage everything. And then a lot of the Digby Industrial Park lift station, again, that's a just in case item here in case of some further development in the area, as well as with the Highway 217. That is a potential in case there's existing future development around that area. So we're keeping that on the radar, but it's not necessarily being committed to if that development doesn't occur. And then the Bear River Pump Station maintenance and electrical cabinet, these are required to be done. And then our 2 items here at the bottom with recreation, these are a couple more we would like to invest and is a level of service investment, but again, is up to future councils and up to the public, and some public engagement I would recommend be occurring if these investments were to happen. So this is the Haynes Lake development to better improve the land there for people to access and enjoy, and then the dark facility capital repairs, which is a jointly managed recreation facility that comes with all kinds of other crazy hiccups when we start jointly managing assets of this nature. So again, you don't have full autonomy on decisions there, but it's certainly something to keep penciled in the long term to make sure you're aware that that is something on the horizon that might happen. There's a significant cost. So, sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit here. I've alluded to the capital plan a few times, so this will be landing in inboxes from March. We're presenting our results here, that the grant finished up, and then we'll be working with Tyler and the rest of the staff to finish up and tie up any little loose ends on the capital plan. And when you get in there, you'll see things like its general purpose outlining kind of in detail, my summary with what asset management is, and we'll be displaying revenue sources, regulatory requirements. We'll be talking risk assessments in more detail and looking at risk matrices and exactly how those projections come in. We'll have more detailed discussion on these capital works projects so you can kind of dig in and see exactly what's going on. We'll have write-ups on all of them, as well as our financial summary. We want to put a little extra, I don't want to call it value add, but we want to add a bit of an extra lens in existing reserves for how they interact there, as well as a continuous improvement program, which we have here. So we want to make sure that this plan is continually updated. So this is just ensuring that the policy is looked at to make sure that it still makes sense. map would have been completed outside the scope of this project, kind of detail some landmarks to hit as we progress and start learning the tools and really starting to take ownership over all the data. Making sure that that data is up to date and accurate. Getting someone like myself to come in here and provide some technical support to operate with the data that's quite a reasonable amount of time. But when we're talking about collecting data and updating data and doing things like that, that's where a lot of cost burden can come in. So making sure that that data stays up to date is very important. And then making sure that we're happy with our risk and level service requirements and that this capital plan is getting updated continually. So these are some kind of things that we'll be pushing in the report and making sure that the momentum stays with this asset management program and that you guys feel you have the ability to take this on and manage into the future. Yeah, I think some of the stuff here at the end is a bit redundant, and we've discussed a lot of this here, so I'm just going to leave this up as we kind of take any questions that might have come up. I know I mostly gave good news, but does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns, or clarifications they'd like?
No, there is none from council.
Thank you.
We're happy.
Wonderful. Well, with that, I'll shut my call down here. Thank you so much for giving me the time to present this to you. I know you had a busy day today, so I'll let you all get back to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Our next presentation is the Wharf Rat Rally. Could I have a motion for them to come forward?
A motion that the Wharf Rat Rally and the presentation.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. So, just turn that on. Speaking. And for our record, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Good evening. My name is Rick Allright. I'm the event manager for the Wharf Rat Rally.
I'm Ricky Stewart. I am the chairperson of the rally. Been with it for 15 plus years.
Tonight, all we were looking to do is give you a bit of an update of what happened this past year and what we're looking forward to in this coming year rally. So for 2023, we had an approximate motorcycle attendance of just over 7,500. We had 2,700 motorcycles registered, and we're estimating an attendance of about 20,000 people over the weekend. The event saw 12 bands on the stage. We had a circus-style performances happening on the promenade in downtown. 3 days of motorcycle stunt shows, the family zone, fireworks, BMX show. We started up a poker run this year, something that had been missing for a few years. And we did a show and shine and the annual Afghanistan Memorial Ride down to the Yarmouth area. We had 110 volunteers participate this year. Some of you were there supporting us, and so thank you very much. And they contributed an estimated 1,750 hours over the 3 days. One example of dedication to Wharf Rat Rally is Jackie. She's on our board, and she actually counts her hours very accurately, and recorded 292 hours contributed to the Wharf Rat Rally in 2023. This event simply doesn't happen without the volunteers that contribute so much to it.
And Jackie is Jackie Dugan.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure, again, so people know.
Yes, for sure. Just a bit of a thank you to our sponsors, Province of Nova Scotia, the Municipality of Digby, Town of Digby, County of Annapolis, Privateer Harley Davidson, Fundy Complex, and Katie Broadcasting, Sobeys, Steers Insurance, Bay Ferries, Tim Hortons, and Go Power Sports. They contributed significantly, and your contributions to the rally definitely make this happen. They go a long ways to being able to operationalize the entire event and bring it to life. This year, we're hosting our 20th annual rally, happening over August 29th to September 1st. So obviously we're looking to go a little bigger and celebrate in a big way. And a lot of our marketing will be based around making sure that people who have been to the rally in the past come back. More or less like a reunion type event. Come back to see the rally if you've ever been in before. Some of our plans around this. Events are a business, and we're committed to ensuring fiscal responsibility towards the event. We operated a profitable event last year, and keeping making sure we're not running deficits that cripple our event are very important to us. Operating in a very professional way is also what we're looking to do as we move forward too. We're looking to create new revenue generating events while keeping the events that have typically been free to attend to those in the area. We're going to look to expand our rally passport. So this past year, we instead of calling it registration, turned it into our rally pass, and we're trying to build value into paying for your $20 to come get into the event. There's some actual value pieces around it. Multiple different levels too. One of the pieces of this is a rally passport, where you basically are able to get discounts and whatnot at local vendors, and along with our vendors that are taking part in the rally. Entertainment, again, will be, our main stage will be in the Digby Center, and then we're looking to have a busker type stage on the promenade downtown.
Did they pay for the buskers to come, or did they?
It's a bit of both. We're also looking to add a digital scavenger hunt. It's an app on your phone that you basically download and you go around and click all the clues. It's we've done this in other areas. It's a very addicting thing, and people who get into it will do it the entire weekend. We're trying to maintain a family-friendly focus to this event. Last couple of years, we've had the family zone up at the ball field. We're hoping to move this closer to the rest of the rally this year, to make it feel as more part of the entire rally instead of just being at the ball field, which kind of feels like it's its own separate thing happening.
A lot of people like that because it's too congested downtown.
There is that piece. There's also a lot of our operators are not happy with where it necessarily is.
Oh, the operators.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
People are happy.
Yeah. We are adding some new things to the event. I'll say it now. We'll kind of announce it. We're going to have a drone show take place over downtown. You may have seen these before. We're looking at about 70 drones take to the skies, and we'll create various shapes and images. It's not to replace the fireworks; it'll be in addition to the fireworks. It's a new thing that's kind of come out, and we believe it's the first one that will ever happen in Nova Scotia. So as we move forward, we're looking to add more things like that, and just create more unique experiences for everyone that's attending, and drive more traffic into the Digby area as a whole. We will be doing our poker run again. We had great success with it last year, and really got people moving through the entire area. Did a lot for it, and bringing it back. It's not. We to be part of the municipality, the players' contribution, and that they would do it, and everyone's going there. But we're trying to spread that out a bit more and keep it part of our events. But yeah, that's where we're headed. We're looking forward to another great rally and celebrating our 20th anniversary in a big way.
How was the rally compared to the year before, like as far as attendance, revenue, stuff like that, like just general comparison? Anywhere near the same?
The vendors themselves were up about 133%. The overall numbers for registration were definitely up. I think they were about 25%. We definitely saw a fairly significant increase from year to year. With our experience with all events, is one more year away from COVID significantly helps everything. We're basically back to what we would have expected to have in what we would have seen in 2019.
Anyone else?
How much are you guys asking for this year?
TBD, but probably in the area of $15,000.
You guys coming here definitely makes a better chances.
Yeah, we really appreciate the.
Like, instead of just a letter asking for X amount of money coming in and talking to us instead.
Yeah, and we're definitely open to being able to provide these updates throughout the year too, as you wish.
No, good. Thanks for coming.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys again for your contribution to the rally and the volunteers that you provided, especially with the Public Works crew the extra help that they gave us. We couldn't have done without it. It's phenomenal what they did for us. So, yeah, thanks again.
Thank you. Jeff? Okay, well, thank you so much, and I'm sorry that we changed it around, but where we had him on Zoom, we felt it
Not a problem.
was easier to listen and say thank you out there.
Not a problem.
Thank you for bringing the presentation forward. It's good to hear. I'm really going to be looking at the drone show. Drone show, because I can't visualize it. All I can see is little silver airplanes, that's all I can't visualize.
A whole bunch of them with lights. That's what it is.
They're lights.
Yeah. Bunch of drones with lights on it. That's why, and they'll create their various shapes and whatnot. Even one of the, obviously we wanted to be able to create a motorcycle in the sky. Paul, already told them I want to create the Harley logo in the sky and that sort of thing. So it's all those sorts of things are possible with that.
You can send them a photo of Linda Gregory.
No,
Pretty sure that's possible.
I'll just be busy doing my thing.
I'll get you the photo.
I'll do the traffic. No, I'll just do my traffic as usual. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Is the minutes of January the 23rd. Is there any is there any errors or omissions?
This is a question. David, was he at the last meeting? Because this is in the Senate, so he then gave a report, and I couldn't remember.
No, I
wasn't there.
No, I missed the last council.
Okay.
I think that's right.
That's okay.
Thank you for picking that up. Any other omissions?
I move approve. Oh, somebody else will move.
No,
Make a motion to approve.
you're allowed to move the motion.
I'll move it. Second.
As amended.
As amended.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carries. The CAO report. Remind you that on March the 5th is the bylaw policy, March the 12th is committee of the whole. On March the 19th, there is no committee. On March the 26th, there is a council, and on April the 2nd is the bylaw policy starting at 3 p.m. Please remember that's at 3.
It's the budget. Can't wait.
says for update, all the, action items from the January council meeting have been addressed. And then the capital projects are listed. Any questions or concerns?
Just wanted to highlight the dispatch recorder. So again, with some great work from the airport staff and our IT staff, a solution was found to kind of make our own solution instead of having to purchase an expensive piece of equipment. So yeah, nothing that even required being capitalized. So great work on that one.
Just the airport up there.
The financial report of January 2024, any questions on that before we? Hearing none. We will go on to the standing committee. Bylaw and policy recommendation, the Emerald Digby Museum funding request. Is behind you if someone would like to move that.
All of the council, due to the lack of funding in the 23-24 community grants, request that the Emerald Digby Museum apply for funding in the next fiscal year separate.
All in favor? Contrary minded, motion carries. The next is the election items. There's two motions. Each one has to be made separately. So would someone like to move about the polling stations?
Move that council have one polling station in each district with the exception of District 4, to be held at fire departments with a hardwired internet, which eliminates the need for satellite or mobile internet connections.
Is there a seconder?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is about the information agreement with the province.
I move that council enter into an information sharing agreement with the province and acquire the provincial voter list for the 2024 election as they have in the past 3 elections.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. And just remember, there'll still be ads for people can come in and check if their name is there and it'll be added protocol.
Same as always.
Same as always. We'll probably push a little extra advertising this year. We know that list. Jesus, 2021?
Yeah, a lot of people moved.
So at least it's current because of the provincial election in 2021, but it will be a challenging time for the list where so many people move in.
So just wanted to make sure we all understood that. Yep. The next is the solid waste bylaw.
So this would have been the same bylaw revisions that you saw at our bylaw and policy meeting. So as you're aware, we're looking to do two things. One, to update the bylaw just to reflect reality, as far as like bag limits, weights, and whatnot. But more importantly, to make sure it includes the clear bag rule that's coming into effect on April 1st. And this would be the first reading, so I'd be looking for a motion to approve this as amended, and then our second reading would be the end of March.
So would someone like to move the solid waste bylaw for first reading? Or we went on through this at our committee of the whole? Sorry, at the bylaw and policy.
And I'll make a motion, for the first reading of, the solid waste bylaw.
As amended.
As amended.
Is there a seconder? Thank you. All in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is the election ballot decision. On the committee of the full recommendation.
Motion, I move the council agree that the municipality of Digby switch to 100% electronic voting, internet, and phone for the 2024 municipal election.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, nay.
Do we have that recorded?
Yes. And next is under business item, the Conway LUV amendment request, second reading.
Move that council agree to change the minimum lot frontage from 60.9 meters, 200 feet, to 38.1 meters, 125 feet, in the residential rural zone in section 8.3 of the common area land use bylaw.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, nay. Motion carried. Transfer station fees.
Okay, so you all would have received my memo on this. The short story would be, we're just looking to update our transfer station fees. They haven't been looked at in over a decade, and we fall behind the adjacent units.
Okay.
So the town of Digby has already made these motions, and agreed to them, but we have to as well, we're still in the facility. So we're just looking to up the fee for residential waste from 100 per ton to 125, over 200 kilos. Anything under 200 kilograms would be still free. And then we're looking to increase the commercial waste fee from 125 to 145 per ton.
I'd like to say thanks for all this. I think this originally began because a constituent in my area complained about how difficult it is. People are taking, 50-pound loads, one after another free, but if you're coming from Westport, that's not really an option. And nice to see this reflected. I'm writing the guy that asked me to do this right now.
Okay, so could I have a motion? And the fees for residential.
I'll move to make the fees for residential waste at the transfer station free up to 200 kilograms and 125 per ton for any amount over 200 kilograms effective April 1st, 2024.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second it.
Okay, there's two seconders. I do agree that this makes it easier. Everyone knows it's free up to 200. And that's very cheap if you compare it to some of the other places.
Yeah, it is.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is for the commercial waste.
I'll move to make the fee for any commercial waste at the transfer station $145 per ton effective April 5th.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second it.
Again, we are saying the same as the town, and again, it's very reasonable. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is we need to appoint our returning officer, which for the last two previous elections has been Nicole Robbins. Oh, I thought it was two. Oh, this is two then. All right.
I move the council agree to appoint Nicole Robbins as the returning officer for the 2024 municipal election.
That's it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The Briar Island land.
You guys probably thought we were going to get through a whole meeting without hearing me talk, didn't you? Started to think almost there. Almost there. So I think you're all familiar with the history of the Briar Island land that we were involved in for the protection of the Eastern Mountain Haven.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Flooding, there was a
All
whole
sorts
list
of things.
issues.
So right now that land is just protected by the fact that we own it. So some of the partners involved had approached our trail coordinator with this idea of pursuing a wilderness area designation for our land because we own that whole pit ourselves. We're a very easy group to approach to seek this designation. So as the kind of detailed memo, this is just for our pit is all we're looking to speak to ask the province to do this. The partners involved and the trail committee have been consulted, and as I think further down in the memo it explains, that there's other steps that would make sure the trail committee can do the work that required, that they don't get frozen out of the area. It's a really interesting idea. The trail coordinator's keen on us trying it just to see how the process works. Yeah. We don't own a lot of full wilderness area like this that we don't use, so we don't necessarily have a lot of other lands for ourselves to pursue this in the future, but to be able to speak to other groups in the area that do and how this process goes. He likes the idea of trying this.
It's swamp thicket.
And we're right in the middle anyway.
That's it. We're right in the middle.
We're actually impeding.
So it seems like something worth trying. there's any questions on his memo, he actually attached the letter as well that we would send to the minister, and then that just starts the process with the department to work on it.
That's a great team that's pushing the trail. It's unbelievable.
The trail team and the scientists that were involved in the first project are
Well,
still
that's all right.
around in these conversations,
Yeah.
so there is a lot of community support for this project.
Oh, there's been a vast amount of positive things for the community too.
Are they across the board for football?
The trail?
Yeah.
No, they're not gonna go, they originally thought they were gonna go all the way to the, Pond Cove. Because there used to be historically a trail from that water, from the back, but they decided it's so overgrown, it would cost so much, and they're starting to get concerned because the, wood is, it's a floating, they call it a floating platform. So everything's sort of above, so it doesn't damage the environment. But however, it's gonna be quite expensive to replace those, things of wood. I've suggested to them that we, do a $10, you buy a plank of wood, $10, you can solder your name on it, or we will, and there you go. So, bought by Linda Gregory, you'll get at least 10. It's bought by Linda Gregory, and I guess right, LG, right down it.
Well, what if I want LFEG?
Well, there you go.
But, yes, this is great. So what I need is that we will agree for again, this is all on the province. We are asking permission, to have the Briar Island land bid number, whatever there, I just seen it.
302-54619.
So, that's, our motion is to formally request to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change consider designating 35 hectares of municipality-owned land that is in the middle of the, big meadow bog as a provincial wilderness area.
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there any further discussion?
If you ever want to come down, there's a lot of berries in there. Set you up. Give you a
Alright.
ton.
As long as there's no, hornets
No bears.
or wasps. No, I don't mind bears.
No bears.
I can live with the bears.
Actually, yeah, there is. There is a bear on the island.
I do.
Yeah.
All in favor?
I
Contrary minded? Motion carried. It's supposed to be a family.
The bear, they swam across the
Let's see it.
Westport, and we heard they were eating the feasting on the seagull colony. That's what I heard. That was the last I heard.
They want to get full.
Definitely full there.
The next,
Lots of
we
dollars.
have had a request for property tax reduction due to fire damage on 04586-174, Paul James Thibodeau at 174 Old North Range Road.
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Any discussion, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.
Completely fair. Not much to discuss on those things, is there?
The next is our marketing budget committee that we have Angela become the member and Linda to become the alternate member of the committee.
So move, all of it.
Is there, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next, there is no correspondence listed, so the advisory committee minutes. So you have your dark package, your dark meeting package, your industrial commission, the DDA package, and the waste check authority meeting notes. Is there any questions on any of those?
Dark look cool. I was happy to see.
Okay.
I just had a simple question about I was wondering what they did at the curling club. It had no budget, and then they said $12,000 repair or something.
I think there's some capital work gonna be done over there, but there's, there's rent. It's gonna-
To the curling club, but anyway, I'm just curious.
I'll have to check that out for you, Andrew. Or, sorry, Matthew's the chair.
Well, I think, yeah, I can look into it, but I think it might be, we were talking about getting some work done over there. There was a leak on the north side wall.
Yes.
So they had to fix that up. They had to re-chip rock it and paint it and all that.
And they figure, and then they're hoping that will stop the rain from coming in or the water coming up. And we'll do a double check on that for you.
Was that out of the minutes, Angela? Do you recall where you made your note from, or was it in one of the reports?
It's in the financial report. It's under current, repairs and maintenance, marine repairs and maintenance, right in the middle of the drum.
Oh, yes, that's exactly what it was.
That's what it was.
Okay, yes. I was trying to think where, but yes, that's exactly what it was, for that repairs. Okay. There is no outside boards committee minutes, so we will go to our council district activity report, and I will start with Matthew.
It's been a busy month. I didn't have much written down, but I had a lot of phone calls. There's a lot of excited people. There's a lot of information happening out in the internet world, and dealt with a lot of phone calls to deal with that stuff, and taking calls on, teaching people about their property evaluations and stuff like that. It's a shock to everybody, and it's to get, tell people there is a cap, their tax rate hasn't gone up. It's just a matter of the property values have gone up because of people moving in and people buying property well over the limit that we're used to, and I've actually helped some people out because a lot of them didn't understand about our low tax
Income
deduction,
tax exemption.
and helped some people out with that. They had no idea, so they come in the office, I get stuff, put a copy ready for them, bring them over here, and
Share it on the.
save up to $500, right? And then that's a big difference because that's $500 they don't have, right? So
In Keystone, we're falling so far behind that you end up losing.
that's
your
right,
house.
yeah.
That's
So
the
it
real.
worked out really well for
the real
a lot of
difference.
situations. So
Linda,
Yes, sir.
has that ever been in the coastline so that people, I found a lot of the seniors, some of the seniors that my area didn't know
I
anything.
thought we did put it in the coastline.
Yeah.
Every year we put it in the coastline.
Okay.
So we will put it in again this year.
That's
It's
why I
a good thing
mentioned
to
it
bring
again
the
tonight,
seniors
so
groups
people
too.
can know,
You ever
right?
talk to them? That's what I did. I just let the people know. I think they should use this.
Yeah, I do a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah, you should know everything.
And it's not just for seniors, it's
No, it
low
isn't.
income.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what people need to know.
yep,
Working class
yeah,
families.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like to see that go up.
You'd like to see what?
That go up.
Oh, never mind what I thought you said.
I don't think there's been a year you've been here that it hasn't.
I know, but I argue and stress out about it all 15 years.
It seems like an odd thing to stress out about if it's gone up all 15 years.
Well, it doesn't go up as much as I want it to.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the problem.
Okay. Our, next is Angela.
I attended the Black History Month dinner at the Pines. I attended the Rent Audit Committee. It was my first meeting. That was on Zoom. And I've been involved with the Art Bank here at the municipality, and I just wanted to let you know that Rob did an excellent job. There was a lot of pieces came in, and
Did we know yet who was getting the fees?
I believe he's reached out to the winners now,
So are you allowed to tell it?
I'm guessing I probably can, but there was Pat Jarvis. He had his drum,
I love that drum.
and Flora Doler. And
Four door?
Flora Doler.
Oh, sorry.
Jay Stone.
One of Jay's.
A bowl. Yeah, I was gonna say.
One of the Ukrainians did a painting, and she was one selected. And I believe it was Kathy Dumpy. She just moved into Bear River, and she did a painting as well. So yeah, I'm very excited about them. And actually, when he brought them in for us to actually look at, they were nicer in person than they were on the pictures that we picked from. But it was quite unanimous. I found the whole process.
So where will these be on display?
here at the municipal office, and, last year there was 3 winners, and we never really held any kind of, ceremony or anything, so and they were the judges this year, so we promised them that we would have like a little open roast and, acknowledge all of them, the winners from last year and the winners from this year. And, yeah, I've had a lot of calls and emails. I think the most since I've been on council, and it was mostly like evaluation services. I've had to send them to the province block. Roads, ditching and drainage issues, property tax reduction. I've had people ask for reduction. And, the land use, spiraled out of control, and I had a lot of issues with that. And, there was someone who called me about tourism, and I'm gonna take that to the data board. Just more or less, they had the numbers from the province last year, and it appears that we lost about $1 million last year in tourism money, even though so it was brought up that maybe they needed to focus on something to get more people to start coming back again. And a lot of the accommodation providers said that they had a good year, but it's because there were so many accommodations that weren't in business this year that even though they had a good year, other tourism industries didn't have a good year because people weren't here spending the money. So I'm going to take that to data, and hopefully, they can address it. And that's it. Thank you. David?
Talked to Don Thomas with some aggressive salespeople. I emailed my people in the neck and the island. Each village. I'm not on Facebook myself. I'm not sure. Dealing with mobility issues, home care, getting people clean. Been busy moving people in the manor. So there's a couple people with problems for moving. I just want to take a minute to praise Social Services, Service Canada, Super Nova Scotia, the OT department at the hospital social worker, and the team, 3 people replaced on the person I always used to talk to, replaced her in the team at housing, and we're putting together a real good plan. And there's another gentleman also, sort of similar situation. He's difficult moving and things like that. Set him up as well with home care and things like that. Community garden. Last year I experimented. I grew like less than a dozen different things, and I invited families in difficult situations to share in the harvest, and I'm still harvesting things, and everything's going to get pulled up. So the whole winter it went, and I convinced the community garden people that we're going to use half of it for the community, and we're going to see how that goes. And people still just have their little spots, right? Freeport dumpster, it wasn't being used. The location, I imagine, is a problem, so no need to waste money for nothing. So that's done. Got a grant for $2,000 from Food Bank. That was awesome. Thank you, province. I was talking to the CDC this morning about the ambulance service on the islands. Just to talk about that, we early February they gave us they made us a 24-hour base because of the difficulty. If you're in Digby, get to Westport back, you're looking at 3 hours just for that, maybe more. So we had a series of meetings through the years with the ambulance people. The last one was a few years ago. They told me that the situation was dire and that things were going to change. And they promised me that. 3 years later, it was way worse. I got to say that to them, to their faces, at the public meeting with about 60 firemen there. So that worked out really well because they showed up saying, "Oh, you are next in line for this special." I was like, "Ha ha!" So we now have an ambulance. We're getting a monthly diabetes clinic, 4-day-a-week service with the nurse practitioner. The blood work situation is being dealt with, and I even signed up a person in Digby, a fellow insomniac. I got him a CPAP machine and, got an appointment with the nurse practitioner, the one that cured my insomnia. So this guy, right on. Gotta stay busy. You want to change people's lives. The whole purpose of being in politics. Got a lot of people into the manor. We've had like 4 or 5 people moved out, and I've moved personally 3 people in. I get my poor daughters, my twins. They help. I don't let them take anything except if they want to make cookies. I let them have cookies. And they hint about cookies. What else here?
Good for you, man.
I convinced someone for 10 years to go on welfare. It took me 10 years to convince him. $2,000 a year this guy's lived on for the last 10 years. It took me 10 years to get him to the appointment up here, and he came, sat with me, and thank goodness for the social workers. $2,000 a year, imagine. That's what he lived on. Coast Guard stuff. We're still arguing a bit about the Coast Guard on Westport. They started doing work in Freeport. I sort of have an ongoing policy of everything's good where it is. Like, don't move the school to East Ferry and make it primary to 6. Don't move the Coast Guard that's been there for over 100 years to Freeport, and where they want to move it, it makes no sense to me because it'll be stranded at low tide. So they've sent all this on, and I found a historic plan that they lost 20 years ago in Westport, but for the Coast Guard, and all they have to do is move a breakwater, and it was my original suggestion that I told them 4 years ago. They told me it was unworkable, and I found the whole thing saying the exact same thing. That was obvious for the Westport. Just move the breakwater. So I'm going to give it a try. I can't get anyone who will contact me. Nobody from the federal government will speak to anyone. They won't even talk to Chris Donchermont. None of them. So the plan is to freeze us out, not talk to us, move it. The only way to succeed with this, I think, is to make it a political issue and get a promise from Chris Donchermont right around election time. Oh, crack is raising its ugly head again. I've heard some real harrowing stories. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about them. They're pretty bad. That's because of the food bank. I always know when things are going south, when things are going south. And it's people you never, that's fast.
Really?
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm mortified. I had a few people come to me and tell me. I don't know. I have to really think about it. I might ask you for some advice later. Nope, there. That's it.
Hey, George.
Yeah, the dirt road hotline has been kind of quiet. So.
The road outline.
I was to 2 meetings with the provincial people on the Gates Lane Bridge, and they're moved at lightning speed. And with 4 or 5 weeks, they got like survey. They've got they're now drilling holes to see for the abutments. And I think the tender was going out for the Bailey Bridge this week sometime. And he said you should see activity there by August. And within a year, the bridge should be operational within a year. I don't know what happened to all the regulations they usually have, and studies they have to do, and all that stuff. But they just made it. But then there was I also attended the gala that some of the other
Gala?
African Heritage,
Oh,
and secured some forms for the tax rebates for some stations in New England, and some forms for their feeding rebates.
Good. Thank you. I attended Gates Lane Bridge concerns. I attended a newcomer get-together that was held at the community college. I had a Zoom meeting with David Benoit with our CAO to talk about cell service or floor service. I I attended the fundraiser for the United Church and the Bear River Health Clinic. Then I went to the African Heritage Gala along with Angela and you. I attended on Saturday a climate change meeting for CAO and some others, CIR and MLA, as well as the Weymouth Council, Village Commission. I also attended the DRHS African Heritage Celebration, which they did a really nice job, and they had a fashion show by the basketball team. They did a nice job. And then I attended another benefit, and this was for a 2.5-year-old who got cancer, and they're going to have to do surgery. He's had cancer since he was 17 days old. And I'm hoping when they go that they're only going to have to remove this much of his hand, and that's what they're going to try, and if they can't, then they will be taken off the whole hand. That little boy was so cute, and they had some, I shouldn't say this, but they had some pies there, and he went over and he looked at the pies and whipped cream in them, right? So they immediately took that pie away, and I didn't stay there to be but it was cute. I mean,
Adjusted.
we thought it was cute anyway. His name was Oldie. You know, otherwise, I've had calls with concerns over the assessment, and now it's over. We'll be making a fly. People were concerned that they should apply, and I said that's the best thing you could do. And then, of course, there's always the people with the food concerns, and I will tell you, I take my hat off to people like David and Frugal Moms. I actually go down to Frugal Moms myself and pick up for 3 different families. Never a hassle, never anything. I take it back because, and then I saw the other day someone from Bear River was saying they wish there was a way they could get down. So there are a lot of people out there. These 3, I always do it for them, and it's been helpful because one's a family of 5.
Is this the,
Yeah, I was thinking.
I can bring some more for you too if you want.
Well, we're still waiting for the last 2.
Oh, geez, that's doing that. Don't worry. I'll bring him up. I'm about back up tomorrow.
I know, you said you had them ready, it's just you.
Yeah, I forgot to bring them.
Yeah.
You know, I gave him somebody else, because a couple of people came late, and I was like, oh yeah, and then totally slipped my mind.
That's okay.
I got more.
No,
Actually, you should probably wait till Saturday, because I'm pretty well.
Yeah, we can wait. I will tell you, David helps me with some people up here as well. You know, we're trying to work with this, like you said, we try to work with Frugal Moms as well. It's all that kind of stuff, because we know that our incomes are low in this area, our rents are sky high, food is sky high.
I drove 3,000 kilometers less this year because of you opening on Saturday, so I don't have to, you opening the building and letting the food in. That's 3,000 kilometers less that I'm claiming.
At least I'm good for something.
Yeah, big time for that. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I can't believe that we're next to each other tonight.
Man, what's going on? I'll be mad at you after.
There is no in camera. I will ask the audience, is there any questions on anything that has been on the agenda tonight? It can only be what's on the agenda. Go ahead.
Yes. First of all, thank you. I really found the gentleman's presentation extremely interesting and informative. Yeah,
thank you.
Well done.
Decades
I
ahead.
have a question associated with that. At the end, it talked about data collecting, data updating, data accuracy. Of course, we live in the age of data. That's our currency now. But I was wondering about at least I didn't hear him say, I could have missed it, the talk about data security, because I know that not just communities our size, but larger communities, even our own, our own governments, banks have been hacked. And so data is not secure, and I was just wondering what steps this council is taking
Okay,
to secure the data.
we do, but I'm debating if it should be
No,
you or.
I'll take this one. So the data that he's talking about may be slightly different than the data you're talking about. So what he's talking about is the updating that's required. So if we went out and replaced 200 feet of new sewer today, if we don't up that, behind the graphs, there's like 25 pages of spreadsheets that are feeding this information in. If we don't keep it up, this information gets outdated basically the minute he leaves us, right? That's always the concern with consultants is they kind of give you something and you're supposed to keep it up. If you don't, so that's the data input and accuracy he was talking about was they've got us to a certain point of preparing this kind of historical picture and where we are. Now it's going to be on, I'm going to pick on Tyler, the Public Works Department, because that's where most of the sewer infrastructure, that if we do work or when we upgrade things, that's all captured. That's the data security being referenced there. We're talking about that security, that's the data he's talking about. I think you're talking more about computer-based data on the other side of our organization, maybe?
Or all, like, I'm assuming you would just have one system for the collection and maintenance of the data you're talking about, and say the data that I'm thinking of.
Right. So no, we have elaborate protections in place and elaborate off-site backups that take place with our data. There's been numerous issues even within the province of Nova Scotia with municipalities and data in the last even year. So it is something that is high on our mind and a regular part of those conversations.
So could I assume then that if there was a breach in your data, for whatever reason, that the community would be notified?
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think that's a legal thing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Like a union sent my wife a whole bunch of stuff because they got.
Yeah, I was going to say, the province has unfortunately suffered numerous breaches, and I think unfortunately it's been a great learning curve for those of us that aren't with the province or affected on how they've handled that, on communicating with their staff, on the services they've had to provide to help monitor. Unfortunately, some of those breaches have been significant enough the province has had to buy like credit monitoring protection for some of the people involved. So yes, no, contacting the people involved is definitely.
I have been hacked through my work, just Digby General, under my pension plan 3 times.
Yeah.
My wife too.
They have gotten my social insurance number, where I live, the whole 9 yards. Once, I understood. Twice, I was annoyed. 3rd time, I asked them if they know how to keep anything secure on one location file. And what gets me, and this is going to sound awful, because I know it's not, but in the alphabet, it seems that they always get up to the G's. I have another friend who retired at the same time, but she's an R, and she has never been hacked on. And the same thing, right? I was.
Zygotes or something.
Yeah, something.
But, yeah, it's really, so, yeah, but just from the hospital on, I've been hacked 3 times.
Yeah. I know it's a very, very serious issue, and I think sometimes the tendency is to think, well, we've got all this technology and everything is safe, and it isn't.
We are very stringent here, but nothing, and, and yes, and if something happens, we would let the public know immediately.
We have our own special genius on call too for these computer things.
Grade 5 student?
That's probably Norm.
Norm, we'll hear. Go back. Any other questions? Go ahead, Ross.
Linda, I have something, but it doesn't got to do with anything like this here. I'd like to know where I would get, we have a war memorial down there, down home in Barton.
Yes.
And nothing's ever been done to it for years and years. We had some veterans there last year. Was wondering if there's something that they can have done, like a statue.
Okay, what I'm gonna ask you to do is contact Rob Percy.
I think if we just after the meeting, we'll get your information, we'll get Rob to contact you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay with
Thank
that.
you very much.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, Linda.
They fixed up the cenotaph in Freeport right before the last Remembrance Day. I was there that day. I wonder where they got the money. Maybe.
That's why we'll.
Thank you very much, Linda.
No problem. Any other questions to the agenda? If not, then I will ask for someone to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carries.